Afternoon. So time for another GW story. But before I get onto it, I've had one comment, essentially on the channel, that I wanted to address, and that's why I think in a weird way it was a very snarky comment. But I think like all things on the internet, people are snarky because they think they can get away with it. So essentially the question was, why do I make videos about Games Workshop? Right, when I haven't, I left there quite a while ago. Move on with your life was the sentiment, I think, coming out of that. The answer to that question is, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I like talking about it, and I like sharing my story about when I worked there. What people don't understand is, working for that company was essentially, you can say this is sad if you want, but it was essentially a dream of mine that I'd had since I was 13. So getting that job and working, not just getting that job, but succeeding and working my way up through the company meant a lot to me. And at the time, when I left Games Workshop, when I just had enough, I couldn't take it anymore. It was a bad time in my life. Things got better, obviously, and then things got worse again, but things got better. But it's good for me to talk about, essentially, and it's interesting. And it's cool, like, seeing your guys' reaction to what I've been saying, and you're getting to see behind the curtain a little bit. And it's not even a curtain anymore, the company has moved on the past couple of years, probably, it's probably not the same as it was. But yeah, in response to that, why do I keep doing these videos? Because it's interesting, and because I enjoy doing it, essentially. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. But there's always a party pooper. But there you go. So moving on. Today I wanted to talk, once I've had a sip of my tea. One second. I'm going to switch the mic off for 1 second. I hate it when people, like, slurp down the microphone and then don't actually, mute the mic. So, today I'm going to be talking about meeting the boss. Meeting the boss. Who I can't say, because it's on Wikipedia. It's Kevin Roundtree, right? I literally looked this up just before. I said, "Oh, can I say that? Do people know who he is?" Yes, everyone knows who he is. That's fine. So, when I first started as a manager at GW, I was asked to go to the headquarters of Nottingham in Warhammer World, and I met my trainer, my management trainer. Really nice guy. Turned out to be a bit of a dick later on down the road to me and a few other people. I don't know what happened with him, but he went completely schizo, basically. I think he was ill, and he must have just been stressed or something. But anyway, yeah, so I met him there. We went to the Bugman's bar. We had he offered me a coffee, and had coffee, and I hadn't eaten that morning. I was so stressed. I'd gotten the train in from where I lived in the Midlands. It wasn't even that far away. But I got a train in, and yeah, so I was really hungry. But again, if you ever are hungry and you're in a situation where you don't want to eat because you're nervous, have a hot drink. It fills you up, and it will give you that stimulus to go on for the next couple of hours. And that's what I did. I had a coffee, sat down and talked. I was in my Games Workshop blue T-shirt. I was asked to wear the full uniform going in, and out of his bag he got this jumper, this black jumper, which is if you've ever worked with Games Workshop, the black jumper is a big deal, because that means you're part of the inner circle. Essentially, you're part of management, so you get to wear the black jumper. So I went into the toilet and I put it on, and I never forget there was another guy in there who was clearly another manager or something, and he saw me come out of the cubicle. He saw me go in with the blue T-shirt on, and I immediately came out almost very quickly with the black one on. He looked at me and nodded and said, "Congratulations." And I was like, okay, cool. I am in the Illuminati. This is great. So, anyway, the rest of that day was spent saying, I said hello, and I met everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean the trolls working in shipping, and the warehouse, to the payroll people, to everybody, literally everybody. And I even met the guys from White Dwarf, so they came down to, I think they were having a lunch, and they came down to Bugman's later on that day. I had a serious, there was a woman working Games Workshop at the time who I had a serious crush on, so I was like being quite bashful and like not being very, forthcoming. But yeah, we had a good time, had a good chat. They were really, 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 really nice. And then we were walking around, and I was essentially left to my own devices. They said, "Yeah, go around, go and say hello to people, go and have a little talk." So I walked out onto the main gaming floor, and if you've been on the main gaming floor at Games Workshop HQ at Warhammer World, it's quite large, right? Lots of people playing games there. On the far corner, there was a Twitch game going on, which if you troll around on Warhammer TV, you will find me somewhere. I am in the background in my jumper, shaking people's hands. Hello, I'm new, blah blah. So I'm walking around the hall, the gaming hall, just chilling out, looking at a few games, and I get a tap on the shoulder. It's like, I turn around, and there's this guy there, just nondescript, middle-aged, looks normal. And he says, "Hello, are you a new manager?" I said, yes. He said, I knew we had someone starting today. Brilliant. Where are you managing? And I told him the name of my store, and he said, "Ooh, that's a hard one. That's quite difficult, that one. Yeah, it's not been doing that well, so hopefully you're going to be alright." And I said, yeah, I'm sure I'll be fine. I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Oh, I'm Kevin." I said, "Oh, I'm Dean. It's nice to meet you," and shook his hand. And I said, so what do you do? Are you a manager? And he goes, "Yeah, something like that, yeah." And I shit you not, for the next 20 minutes, we just talked about the hobby. We didn't talk about anything else. He wanted to know what armies I was interested in, what I was collecting, why I was collecting it. And then he told me stuff about him, about how he got into the hobby, how he was always someone who was looked down on because he's been in a lot of professional circles, so he's worked his way up in management. And, Warhammer isn't a very popular hobby among those types of people. So he's like, it's finally great to being a place where I can just, gorge over Warhammer and get paid for it. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm here. This is brilliant. Every single day I get to go to work and I get to talk about Warhammer and get people involved in the hobby and stuff. So we were walking around, and he stops at a few gaming tables, and he starts asking people there questions about, what do you think about what GW... He's in normal clothes, by the way. He's not wearing... he's in a suit. He's like, "Oh, what do you guys think about what GW are doing? What do you think about the new releases? What do you think about the way the hobby's going? What do you think about prices? What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" Right? And he was getting all of this information fed directly to him by people who were standing there and just playing games. And eventually, I went back to Bugman's. My trainer was like, "Hey, I'm going to have a beer. Do you want to have a beer before you head out?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." I actually had a hotel booked in Nottingham, so I stayed there at night. So I got a bit pissed at Bugman's. Met loads of new friends. So got a bit drunk. And so I left to go and do that. I had myself a burger and free on the house, baby. So I got myself a burger and several pints, and then staggered home to the hotel. So when I was speaking to my trainer, I was like, "Yeah, I just met this really nice guy called Kevin. He was over there. I think he works in the office somewhere, and blah blah." I think he's he's middle management. And the look on my trainer's face was just coy and he was just looking over his pint okay, yeah. And when it was made clear that I didn't know who this guy was, he says, "Yeah, you realise that guy was, don't you?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "That's he runs the company. That's Kevin Roundtree. He runs the company. This is what he does." I was like, oh. And do you know that point where you are completely you immediately start, the cogs start whirring. Do you know what I mean? In your head, you're like, "Oh shit. Did I say something that I shouldn't have said? Is he gonna go back and say, 'This guy's a fucking nut job, get rid of him'? What's he And and luckily for me, that's not what happened. In fact, I think I made quite a good impression because I spoke to him a few times after that, and he was completely fine with me. At retail workshops, I'd almost never see him, but I'd always not everyone knew what he looked like, so I'd always be able to be "Oh, there's Kevin," I'd go and say hello. But apparently, I said, "Well, isn't it weird that he's on the floor just talking to people?" He goes, "No, that's what he wants. He goes and he gauges opinions. He just walks around and gauges opinions and asks people and he never tells them who he is. He tells them that his name's Kevin, and if they ask him, he'll say, yeah, I'm the CEO, you know. But he just goes and talks to people because he wants to gauge their opinions. He wants to find out what they like and what they don't like. And I nodded and was like, okay, fair enough. So later on, when things like the copyright stuff start coming up and things like that, I struggle to believe that somebody like him is making those decisions. That's why I say it. When I say, this is middle management gone mad. This is the middle management legal team going crazy. These are the douchebags who basically made sure that guys like me do not want to work for Games Workshop anymore. It's them. I having met him, I cannot tell you how much I do not believe this has pretty much anything to do with the CEO. You know, again, I'm sure he could come down on it and stop it if he wanted to, but there might be reasons why he's not doing that, for instance. Legal and otherwise, or he might just be told by the shareholders, don't do that, you know, and there's nothing more he can do. But what I can say is, if you are on the shop floor of Nottingham, of the HQ in Lenton, please make sure that you go there with an opinion in mind, a respectful opinion, a respectful feedback in mind, because you never know who you're talking to, especially on the gaming floor. Because you never know who's on the next table across. I've seen Andy Chambers in there more than once. Another royalty of Warhammer 40,000 times past, right? You never know who's standing at the table next to you, you know, rolling some dice. You know, these could be people with real pull, people with actual power to change things in the hobby. So, that was my story of meeting the boss, of meeting the main man at Games Workshop. I think it's about time that I did a more positive video. You know, that was one of the best days I've ever had at Games Workshop. I loved it. But anyway, thank you very, very, very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.